Hey, I have open spots for private coaching starting mid-January, and one of them could be yours. So if you've been listening to this podcast and thinking that you might like some private help to make some changes in 2023 and how your family runs, or to set loving boundaries, or to stop having the same fight week after week, every week promising it will be different and then having that same fight again. To start thinking about what you want when you hit the empty nest years, or maybe you're already in the empty nest years and you would like something different than what you have. Maybe you're struggling with your adult children, and wanting a different adult relationship with your adult children. Maybe you want to rewrite some memories that you have that are kind of still irking you from years past. Maybe you want to stop walking on eggshells in your own home. You want to feel comfortable and not be constantly worried that you're going to say or do the wrong thing and set somebody off. All of this and more are things that we can address. We can look at your specific situation, and I can help you with strategies that are directly tailored for you. So if that sounds good and you're interested in learning more, just shoot me an email, allie@allieirwin.com, and tell me a little bit, like 2 sentences. You can even just say, send me the scheduling link, and we'll find a time to hop on the phone and you'll go through what's happening, and we'll talk about what could be different and what the plan would look like to get you what you want. Okay, act now. Don't sit on this opportunity, because I really want to help you.
Welcome to Parenting Successful Teens, the podcast that cuts through the overwhelm and stress of this phase and offers parents simple, practical, cognitive, science-based strategies for keeping their teens on track. Join Master Coach and real-life mom, Allie Irwin, to talk about real teens, real problems, and the skills it takes to raise successful adults.
Hello, everybody. I am super excited to be doing an Ask Me Anything episode. This is actually my daughter's idea, because all of our favorite podcasts are doing Ask Me Anything episodes around the holidays. So I put out a call on Facebook. If you are not in my No BS Mom Help group, you should absolutely join, because I had a lot of great questions from there. And here we go. First question is, I expected more situation questions, but I actually got a really interesting variety. So here we go. First question is biggest pet peeve. Now, I wasn't clear if the person that asked the question was asking about my biggest pet peeve that parents do, or the biggest pet peeve of things done to parents. So I'm going to answer both of them. My biggest pet peeve that parents do is the practice we talked about a couple of weeks ago in the episode, I think it was How to Talk to Your Kids, and that is that practice of bright siding. Bright siding is when you tell someone about something that has you worried or sad or frustrated or angry, or honestly feeling any emotion that you wish you weren't feeling. And instead of validating your feelings, they answer something like, oh, look on the bright side. Or they'll say, you think that's bad, and then they'll tell a story of their own. I do not like this practice. I see it everywhere. It isn't just something that parents do to kids. It's something that friends and family members do to each other. But when parents do it to kids, bright siding teaches kids to dismiss their own feelings as not that important. And as you know, I think our emotions are really useful messengers, so we should not be teaching our kids that their emotions don't matter. Now, I'm not suggesting that we wallow with our kids and their concerns. I think most of the time, all we need to do is genuinely listen to them and then validate their feeling. Something as simple as like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you, or oh, that must have been so frustrating, or I can see you're really upset about that. And once that feeling is validated, so often they just needed someone to listen. And here's the thing. Bright setting is about the discomfort of the person that is doing the listening. It's like, I don't want you to be disappointed. I'm uncomfortable with that. So rather than being with you while you're disappointed, I'm going to tell you to look on the bright side. I don't like it. Next question. Biggest pet peeve done to parents. Hands down, mom blame. Okay? Judgment. Mom blame is so freaking lazy. It makes me crazy. It asks nothing of society. It has no personal responsibility on our teenagers. It's like just dumps all the blame on the mom. Someone doesn't like your kid's haircut. I would never let my kid do that. Or like, oh, I don't know, whatever. Our kids are independent people. Every choice they make, everything that they do is not the mom's fault. And so often it feels like every book, every parenting article, every research study, half of the coaching groups I'm in, people are laying their problems at the feet of their mothers. And even to the point where there's a bunch of research studies on this, where like, if this is terrible, but like if their dad was an abuser, their mom still gets blamed because the mom didn't protect their kids, or they didn't, leave the abuser. And while that's true, it's like somehow the mom still takes the brunt, even if it was something that someone else did in the relationship. Okay, and it doesn't seem to be the same vice versa. And that is terrible, and it is a worst case scenario, but it just, mom blame makes me crazy. Oh, I could do like full hour on why I hate mom blame so much, but we're going to just move on. These questions are fun. Favorite parenting book? Hands down, it is Brainstorm by Dan Siegel. And I'm looking at the cover right now, and it says, and I love this so much, Brainstorm, the power and purpose of the teenage brain. I love my teenagers like crazy, and I was really struggling, and all the books I was reading at the time basically made me feel like crap about myself. And then along came Dan Siegel's book, and it was the first book where the author seemed to genuinely like teenagers. And he didn't view this stage of life as just something to be endured. And that was such a ray of hope for me. He saw these teenage years as a beautiful time of development and growth and change. And I did too. So this book put into words all the things that I was feeling and believing. And I was like, I'm not the only one. Like, I didn't want to feel like I was just going to have to endure these 6 years. And Dan's book really helped me see how I could be learning and growing right alongside my kids. Okay, absolutely love it. Absolutely recommend it. Okay, next question. Why don't you give specific advice? Okay, to the person who asked this question, I love it that you want me to be more bossy. Now, I'm assuming that by this you mean, why don't I say things, specific things like how much screen time is okay or what age to start dating? And there's a couple of reasons why. The first is a lot of that stuff you can Google. Like if you want just generic recommendations that sort of roughly apply to everyone, you can just Google. And the second reason is, like, I do actually give more specific advice to my one-on-one clients, but I only do that in the context of really knowing them and knowing their goals and knowing their families. In general, I think the more interesting bits, like taking this screen time example, is why are they on their screens more than you'd like? Is there something that you're afraid that they're not doing, like that the screen time is taking up their time from doing? Are you noticing behavioral changes? Is it you? Like, do you have unrealistic expectations of screen time these days? Or, or is it truly them? Are they not getting their homework done? Do you feel like they should have a job? Do you feel like they're just wasting their time and you want them to have a hobby that you feel like is a better use of their time? There's so many great conversations to have. Like, those are where I want to spend my time. And like I said, so many of the like really specific come down to your family and your priorities. So giving generic advice feels like it's not really the best use of this podcast. Okay, next question. How do I handle feeling like I don't matter anymore to my teen? Oof. The short answer is first thing is to know that it is not true that you don't matter to your teen. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of research studies that show that even if your teen is acting like you don't matter at all, you absolutely matter. And even in my personal experience, I did a talk at a college a couple of years ago for women in engineering. And before I did the talk, they let me send a survey out to, I think there was like 150 girls there. I don't know. It was big. Could have been bigger than that. But I had a huge number of survey responses. One of the questions I asked was for them to name a woman that they admired and why. My purpose for asking that question was to get a feel for what women they looked up to so that I could craft some relevant examples for the talk. We don't want to have outdated references. And so I was trying to get some new references. And what surprised me was like a truly astonishing number of girls responded to that question. The woman that they admired was their mother. And so I want to promise you that you matter much more than you think. Okay? Just put your hand over your heart right now and know that that is true. The other piece, if you are still struggling, oftentimes what that feeling is of not mattering to your kids is really their process of individuating from you. And that does kind of suck. It feels like grief. It feels like you're losing the relationship that you had. And in a way you are. Like that relationship will be replaced with a new relationship. But there is probably some grief there to process. And again, I think a coach is a great help in processing that grief. They can hold the space and allow you to talk about it. And actually, they can teach you how to feel those feelings in your body and not make yourself wrong for having them. Having a place to express that grief is pretty helpful. I had it. I appreciate it. And, that's part of what I offer to clients. So if you feel like you need that, definitely reach out. Definitely reach out. Okay? Do not be feeling bad on your own. Okay? It's not necessary. You don't have to. Come on over. I can help. Okay, let's close out on a fun one. Favorite holiday tradition. My favorite holiday tradition is one that we used to do in New Jersey. I lived in a really small, old, densely populated town. George Washington ate, slept all over, marched all over our town. It was like that kind of old. And the entire town used to put out luminaries on Christmas Eve. So what would happen is you'd be hustling around the entire month of December. You'd be so crazy busy. And then Christmas Eve, you'd put the candles out. We would put the candles out. And then we would head to church at 5 o'clock. That was the time for our family church service. And so, you'd leave for church and it's late outside. And then when you came out of the service, I feel a little teary thinking about it now. You came out of the service, it was dark and quiet, and the whole town was lit up. And every year for me, it was the one perfect moment when you were just so grateful for your family and for the season and for being together. And just like I'm so grateful for you. Truly, so many of you write me each week and tell me that these podcasts matter to you. you say things like, I'm the voice that makes you feel like you're normal and your family's not, too out of the ballpark. And you say that I reassure you and I make you feel like you've got this. And I want you to know that I truly believe that. I truly believe that the love that you have for your family is the most important ingredient, and all the rest are just details that we can work out. So happy holidays, everyone, whatever you celebrate or at this point have celebrated. I appreciate having you in my life. Talk to you next week. If you enjoyed today's show and you want even more support and a shot of fresh inspiration in your email box each week, you have to get on my list. Sign up to receive my free guide on how to stop second-guessing yourself as a mom. There are so many decisions to make as a mom, and this guide will help you to make decisions and just move on. No more waking up 3 a.m. wondering if you made the wrong decision. This guide is so good. Even my non-mom clients are raving about it. So sign up today, and I will see you next week.